Don't be dating newly divorced dads, but don't be dating newly divorced moms either. Obviously, there's exceptions to this, but I just want to read this story. Let's read this story together, and you'll see why I'm saying. And here's another episode of I don't have a column yet, but I'm going to one day, and this is what I would say. This one, Dear Wendy, my boyfriend can't handle my divorce. What? Seems suspicious already. Dear Wendy, I am 40 years old and a mother with 2 amazing children, 12 and 10. I'm in the middle of getting divorced after being married for 13 years. My husband and I just grew apart over the last several years, and since I have realized that I didn't really love him anymore and deserve to be happy and loved. You do deserve that. And I asked for a divorce. But there's more to the story, there always is. In August, I had an affair with a married man. Okay, now I don't like you. I don't like you. It'd be one thing if you're just having an affair. Because, if this dude is ignoring you, not eating the kitty cat, right? Doesn't care about your, whatever, I get it. But you're going to married man, now I don't respect you. You got bigger problems than your husband. But it was a lesson. It was after that I realized that I really didn't have any feelings for my husband. Couldn't you have hooked up with a single dude to learn that lesson? See, I would have said the same thing to a man. Why did you have to use somebody? That doesn't mean the married man is not also just as guilty. The man I had the affair with got caught by his wife, and our very brief encounter ended. The only person that I actually care about in this story is this man's wife. But okay. I wasn't looking for anyone else at the time, but realized that my marriage needed help. So we started counseling. It was during the counseling that I realized there's just not anything left there for me in this marriage. But I continued with the counseling nonetheless. Why? You don't like this dude. Why are you forcing this? For the children? Don't do that. Stop telling yourself that you're saving your marriage for the children. I hate it when parents say that. Oh, really? You're going to do that? You're going to teach your kids marriage is about hating your partner? Cool. That really saves them. Like, come on, get real. This is you. This is about you. It's not about them. You can tell yourself it's about the children. No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm sorry, but it's not. It's really about you. Those children do not benefit unless they literally have no other choice because of finances. Those children do not benefit watching parents who hate each other. That is what they're going to look for in romantic love. Is that what you want for them? I hope not. At this time, I met someone online purely by coincidence. Okay, but what were you doing online? Huh? Like, just leave him. Just leave him. Come on. Let's call him Mr. S. We met up and connected immediately. Soon we fell in love. That's not love, baby. That's limerence. That's literally anything but love. That's not love. He is 6 years younger than I am and single. Okay, I approve of that message. That's actually a good age gap. Men older than you probably can't get it up and are boring and grumpy old men. Anyway. God, I'm so tired already. Over the last 4 months, we've been together weekly. Oh, you've only been together 4 months? Oh, come on. Over the last 4 months, we've been together weekly and speak every day. Wow, you speak every day. That could be like, hey, what did you eat for lunch? He was aware of my situation from the beginning and has continued to say that he will not commit to me until my divorce is final. Okay, you know what that is? See, if this was a woman, if the genders were reversed, that would be a woman being like, I don't believe that you're ever going to leave your wife. I'm going to keep dating until you leave your wife, which still is like not cool, dude. Don't be like hooking up with married men. When the genders are reversed, you will never convince me that this man, we know that men will lie about so many things to avoid commitment, right? They'll be like, I'm not going to get married until gay marriage is legal. Like Brad Pitt and what's her butt from Girls? Hannah, what's her name? Her husband said that. Kristen Bell's husband, Dak, said that. All the men who don't want to get married say, they always have something. So he's probably like, well, I can't commit until you're divorced. I wouldn't buy it. But maybe he's being honest. He has become my best friend over the last few months. Okay, this is your problem. Where are your friends? You don't have friends. This is your problem. If he's your best friend, you've only known him for a few months, you're looking for something outside of this awful marriage that you hate, that you won't leave yet. Honey, your problem is you don't have friends, and that's why you keep choosing terrible men. It sounds like you probably don't have any healthy relationships to judge romantic relationships by, which is why I keep telling y'all, from my personal experience and the experience of a lot of women I know, they learned how to have healthy relationships by first starting to have healthy friendships, right? The stakes are lower. You don't have all the hormones tied in. You don't usually have patriarchy tied in if these friendships are with other, patriarchies and everything, okay? But I mean, in terms of the power dynamics are not the same. Practice healthy relationships with friends first, so then you know what it feels like. This woman doesn't have friends. Oh God, there's so many problems right now already. I can't imagine a day without talking to him about everything and anything. This is not love. This woman is doing what men do. Men who don't have friends, who don't have a life, and have nothing going on, and don't have strong community, and don't like blah, 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 blah. When they don't have that, they make terrible partners because they make you provide all of that. And that's what this woman is. That's what she is. Instead of taking the leap of being divorced and going out and living her best single life, and by that, I mean focusing on her friendships, starting new hobbies, maybe try dance. I don't know. There's so many things that women finally get to do when they get out of marriages. They finally have time because they don't have to parent another child who's terrifying. The single women that I know, the single moms that I know, have some of the most fulfilling lives of anyone I know. Way more than most of the married moms I know. In fact, the single moms in my life right now have a better social life than even the single women because they don't have as much time. They are very efficient and motivated, and they somehow, because they know what the other side is like, they also know what it's like to have a man consume your life and wear you out, and they're finally free. These single moms, like seriously, some of my friends are going to like Schmegs Club. They are like, they party, and yet they're amazing mothers. But when they have the day off, they're like, woo, right? That's what this woman needs to do. Not necessarily like Schmegs Club or whatever, but stop dating when. Throughout this time, my husband and I have agreed to divorce, and he just recently moved out of the house. The kids are managing with the separation and divorce and have been very open with me about their feelings and thoughts during this process. Most of the time, they're managing okay. And I have tried to normalize their lives as much as possible. But here's the issue. The only issue. Come on, there's more. Mr. S and I have had our ups and downs over the last 4 months. Oh, he's your best friend. You can't imagine ever doing anything without him and not talking to him, but you had what does ups and downs mean? What does that look like? Has that been him ghosting you for days on end and then you being like, hey, nah. This is a red flag. You already have lots of problems and you're like in the beginning stages. He gets freaked out every once in a while about being in a relationship with someone who is still legally married. That's not what he's freaking out about. He's probably actually freaking out about the fact that you're actually getting divorced. That's what he's freaking out about. Not that you're married. He's like, crap, am I going to have to commit to this lady? And then he freaks out about being a stepfather. Yeah, he should. Like, have you thought about this, lady? Do you know that stepfathers are the most dangerous person you can invite into the home of your children? Shockingly, even more dangerous than their own father is the stepfather. And a lot of men actually target single moms to get to the kids because there's a lot more pervs out there than people realize. But this guy probably is like, I don't want to be a dad. I don't want to be married. Right? Keep reminding him that he's not being asked right now to be a stepfather, but just to wait for the divorce to be final in about a month. And then we can date and see where things go. Oh my God, y'all. Also gets worried he's not strong enough to deal with any crap that my soon-to-be ex might throw at us after. That's a valid concern. These are all valid, lady. How do I get him to slow down and stop freaking out about the things that are off in the future? They're a month away. I'd be worried if he wasn't freaking out. How do I get him to realize that he is strong enough to deal with things? That together we can be there to support each other. Is there a way for me to help him realize that before I introduce my kids that we need to strengthen our relationship first? Y'all, he's never meeting your kids, lady. He's gone. He wants you to break up with him because he's too much of a coward. Do I walk away and find someone who is mature enough to know these things and who will not get freaked out every couple months? Either stop dating! Like, just stop dating. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about when I'm like, look, we don't know if men are going to get their crap together. I'm not so hopeful that most of them will. But what we need to do is get our crap together. And that woman needs to stop dating. You know, the thing is that we accuse men of using us all the time, and they do because of patriarchy. They're going to benefit more from being in relation with us. But that doesn't mean that we don't use them too. This woman doesn't probably know herself. She only knows herself in relation to men. She can't even be alone before she's done. She's already had an affair, you know, and the only reason she ended that is because the wife caught him. So then she like, oh, I happened to meet someone online, as if you weren't looking. Dude, I just stumbled upon Tinder and just happened to just move my hand like this, and then these men showed up, and then I just happened to do this, and we were having a call. Like, come on. We have to be honest with ourselves. That woman can't be alone. I know that. I know. I understand where it's coming from. And a lot of women suffer from that. A lot of women just jump from one relationship to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, because they don't know who they are. And that's one reason why one of the main messages of my page is one of the things that I kind of, not accidentally, I intentionally did it, but I didn't realize what a big deal it was that I just tapped out of dating in my 20s, right? I'm not saying you need to do this, but I just knew that I would get lost in relationship because the few times I just stuck my toe in the pool, shark bit my leg off. And I was like, okay, never mind. Okay, what do I want to do? Oh, I want to be a raft guide. Oh, now I want to do comedy. I'm going to move to New York. I'm going to move to LA. I want to travel. I had the most amazing life because I said, you know what? I'm tapping out. I want to know who I am. I want to know what I like. I want to explore my inner world. I want to explore the outer world. And it doesn't even mean like traveling around the world. It literally just means being curious, having new experiences, challenging yourself, you know, pushing yourself in other ways that give you confidence instead of pushing yourself into relationship after relationship where men are going to most likely exploit you and take over your life. They don't know how to not do that because so many of them won't decenter themselves in every relationship they have with women. Not just the ones they date and marry, but their sisters, their mothers, their daughters, everything, right? Why do you think dad just watches TV when hanging out with a daughter? It never occurs to them that maybe they should go do something she wants to do, right? I'm not saying they don't do that with their sons, but at least their sons, they condition their sons to like football. Come on, champ, right? I can't tell you, like, it never occurred to my dad, other than like bumper boats and like putt stuff. He did do that every once in a while, but that was usually on vacation. The majority of the time that I spent with my dad was me watching him watch TV, right? So men, in every relationship that men have with women, unless they're really working on themselves and really love themselves, are going to exploit women. And once you swallow that bitter pill, it's a painful pill to swallow, and it requires grieving. And that's why I know this stuff is so depressing, but it's so liberating because once you accept, wow, I have to be super picky. I have to have a crazy high bar because these men will ruin my life. Or at the very least, just derail it and hijack it, right? And so knowing that, what's the rush? What's the rush getting into a relationship? And the same way that men, I'm not saying that men don't do this too, but the same way that men have so many problems with addictions and, you know, like become marathon runners and climbers and gamers and blah, blah, blah. Like so many of men's problems are about escapism. Women do it too. We just escape into different things a lot of times. We are, and part of this is because of our social conditioning. We're more likely to work on our inner world. We're more likely to talk to friends and go to therapy or do the things that we need to for self-improvement. Hell, we know we have to do that stuff and that we're not marriageable, marriable. But we hide from ourselves in relationships the same way that men will hide from themselves in the pursuit of their selfish life and in alcohol and drugs and all the things that they use for escapism. Because facing yourself is one of the hardest things to do, especially if you have a lot of trauma. And unpacking patriarchy, white supremacy, capitalist culture that we've all been indoctrinated on some level is also a terrifying journey. It's not fun, but it's actually really liberating. But that's not fun either. And a lot of men don't want to be like, oh, I'm, no, man, right? Instead of, how have I made a woman feel unsafe? Crap, right? Instead of asking themselves hard questions, the way we ask everybody from the group with power to ask themselves hard questions. When it comes to patriarchy, a lot of men don't want to ask that question. And they don't want to stop exploiting women because they're lazy. They don't want to do anything. So if you know that, what's the rush? What's the point of jumping into relationship after relationship? You will never know yourself. You'll never find yourself because these men will hijack your life. And in fact, some women, it's not until their 50s or their 60s even, or their husbands die, that they finally get to live their life or even explore the world or try new things, because men who don't really love you, that you are tied to, are exhausting. But they're a really good distraction. This woman wants to be distracted. And in her own fear of looking at herself, not only is she going to lose and get her heart broken and probably end up in another terrible relationship, at best, that's what's going to happen. Those kids are going to suffer too. I don't know if those kids, I don't know what their gender, but if one of those is a girl and is attracted to men, she's going to be just like mom, unless she does a lot of work on herself. You can break the cycle, but the impact of those kids of seeing mom, the kids aren't going to see their mom as a full human being. They're only going to see her as a mom and a wife. And that is actually one of the worst things you can do to kids. They don't even see you as you don't even have an existence outside of those two roles. That's their role model. But then also putting them in danger, because stepdads, statistically, look at you. Stepdads usually do not add good things to children's lives. They add more stress, they take away resources, and a lot of times you've now invited a predator into your home. Or at the very least, someone that mom is going to center instead of her children. And for any child whose mom centers men and continues to center men and put those men above her relationship with her children, like in the most unhealthy ways possible too, that's a deep wound. It's going to take them a long time to get over that too. If you just can't imagine not dating men for a while, you're probably the perfect candidate to stop dating men for a while. That thing that you're resisting is probably the thing that you need most. But the benefit is that you get to discover a person that you didn't even know existed. It's so exciting to get to know yourself. And I still don't know myself. But that's the thing about aging. Like every year I discover something new about myself. I'm like, oh wow, well look at you. Please stop dating me. Unless you are at peace with yourself, you love being alone, and you've done some work. Because otherwise it is the perfect storm and you're just gonna keep repeating the same cycle. Date yourself first.